This may be the first and last time I ever say this about a K drama, but breaking Yumi's cells into two seasons separated by 7 months is the best thing they could have done for this show. I feel like I just betrayed the whole fandom. However, it's true. The first season of Yumi Cells ended in October of last year, and viewers have had a solid 7 months to get used to the idea of the great breakup. Also, it took viewers some time to accept that An Bo Hyung won't be the male lead anymore. Now, when I say it took some time, there was definitely a period of solid denial for a few months there, which is why I think the solid break between the two seasons was really, really necessary. Now, as everybody already knows, the male lead in Yumi Cells 2 is Yoo Babi, played by Jin Young. An Bo Hyung is still there, but mostly in the background for now. So let's talk a bit about Yoo Babi. He was introduced as this minor background colleague character in Yumi Cells 1 who was going through his own breakup for most of the season and also felt a strong connection towards Yumi. He only slightly becomes more relevant towards the end of the show, but more in connection to Yumi's career than to her romantic life. Now, Yoo Babi had started developing an interest in Yumi, and Yumi did sense that a little. So, being the slightly conservative, puritanical soul that she was wary of him until she realized how much he was suffering because of the rough patch romantically that he was going through and began to feel some sympathy for him. She also mistakenly thought that Yoo Babi had a crush on another colleague of theirs, Ruby, played by the delightful EUB, and that added to Yumi's sense of comfort around Babi because he was no longer a danger. So, that's the history of Yoo Babi in season 1, and now season 2 started airing on June 10th. The first episode starts precisely where the last episode of season 1 ended, with the breakup and parting. And for most of this episode, Yumi's cell village is in chaos, because Yumi is in chaos. Her cells, who are both her building blocks and her caretakers, know from experience how badly Yumi takes her breakups, how much of herself she invests in a relationship, and how hard it can be for her to go back to being single after being so intensely in love. But this time, Yumi actually manages to stay functional. She goes to work, she behaves normally with friends and colleagues. She keeps her misery and sadness contained within her heart and only expresses her grief in the evenings and nights when she's alone in her home. It's a massive credit to the creators of the show as well as to the original webtoon writer that they could show this process of coping with terrible hurt and pain without the viewing experience itself becoming distressingly sad. The first 2 episodes are frequently funny because as serious and real as Yumi's heartbreak is, the cell's dilemma of how to keep Yumi acting normally and responsibly while also taking care of herself makes them resort to all sorts of cures and remedies for her heartbreak. Hello, what is happening here? No. Where'd you come from? Where did you come from? Hi. Over there. And of course, my beloved hunger cell comes to the rescue quite frequently, but somehow binge eating doesn't completely heal a broken heart. It does seem to help a little though. And now, while all of this is happening, Yoo Babi starts to become a little more relevant in her life. It starts with a benign curiosity about what he's reading, which leads to some lending of books, some more recommendations. I don't know why I did that. And slowly, very slowly, a tiny group of Yumi cells who are secretly fans of Yoo Babi start to gain more members in their club. It's ridiculously sweet. Now, Yumi is in reality in no state to date anyone right now. She's just broken up from a very serious relationship, and it will take her some time before she's ready to invest herself again with someone new. And she knows this about herself and acts accordingly. But at a time when your self-esteem is at its lowest, it helps to have someone as confident, self-assured, polite, and sweet as Yoo Babi show clearly that he's deeply interested in you. And I will admit here that my biggest fear for season 2 was Yoo Babi. I didn't like him in season 1 because the show positioned him as someone that Yumi was slightly uncomfortable around, especially with how much attention he paid her. Every time she noticed his interest in her, she reacted by throwing up a shield. But eventually, as Yumi began to lower those defenses around him, I suppose so did this viewer. And by the end of season 1, I consigned Yoo Babi into this bucket of friendly, harmless, and not even remotely a competition for Wong. And again, here I state that this is why those 7 months of break between seasons were a massive blessing for the show and for viewers like me, who were more than a little obsessed with Wong. It allowed Yumi and Wong's relationship to fade just enough in my memory that I no longer saw Yoo Babi as an interloper,
an interfering, unwanted second lead.
Now I saw him as Yumi's competent colleague, someone who quietly and patiently has liked and appreciated Yumi for a very long time. He even helped her find a new career in the last season. Babi is thoughtful and kind, but most of all, and I was not expecting to think this at all, he comes out more favorably against Wong just by being very emotionally honest. This is something Yumi is already noticing and is drawn to by the second episode. Yoo Babi does not lie or obfuscate about his feelings. He never leaves a woman confused about where he stands. And given how Wong's inability to and unwillingness to express his feelings honestly to Yumi had played a huge role in creating distance between them, this one characteristic is suddenly making Yoo Babi a very attractive romantic interest in this viewer's eyes. See, I feel like I have lived through Yumi's relationship, and now I have been permanently scarred by anyone who looks like An Bo Young and acts like Wong, because there are so many men like that walking around. So in conclusion, yes, watch season 2 of Yumi Cells. I am quite sure it'll be worth watching. Bye.